Hey guys, so this video is a little bit more personal. This is kind of like a story time. It all goes with the new video that the Gabby show just posted, or Gabby Hanna, I guess she changed her name. So it kind of goes hand in hand with something that she experienced in a relationship with complete manipulation and compulsive lying and all that stuff. And I've wanted to share the story before with people because I know people that are in situations like this, where they're in relationships that they feel like they can't get out of. And for me, like, this experience carried on for about 8 years, on and off with this person, and I just feel like it's time to, like, kind of share it a little bit and maybe enlighten some other people and help other people out. So let's get into it. I literally wrote down everything that, like, kind of stood out in our relationship, like, looking back, and all the problems that I had with like, us as a couple or as friends, and pretty much everything leading up to me getting out of it. So this is just kind of like the story. Let's just jump in, I guess. So I'm not going to name this person because I don't know, I don't really care to. But I met him in grade 10. So I met him nearing, I want to say it was summer, nearing the early beginning of grade 10. I think it was summer. Okay, let's do that again. I met him in the summer, right before grade 10, because I met him at the mall. Like, I met him through somebody. And then I met him at the mall, we hung out and whatever, and we, like, clicked right away. And then when I went back to school, something was going on with him in school, like, he wasn't going or something, and I would always skip my last period and go and hang out with him, and his grandpa would always pick me up, and we'd go back to the house and hang out. And, yeah, it was fine. Like, our relationship was good, and I touched on this relationship a little bit in my last video about realizing that I'm poly. So I'll figure out how to put that up there somewhere. But this relationship was one of the best relationships that I had. It was short-lived. It was literally like a month, maybe a month and a half, because then he moved. But it was one of the best relationships that I had. We never argued. He knew that I didn't like him smoking around me, so he would always excuse himself and go to the garage or, like, climb out on the roof and smoke there. And it was just very respectful. Like, we clicked. We clicked so much. So in grade 10, like I said, he only lived here up until, like, early grade 10, and then he moved to Ottawa. And he moved out there because his mom had a job or something, or was, like, following a boyfriend. I don't know. There was something going on. So they moved to Ottawa. And Ottawa is about 5-6 hours away from me. Obviously, it didn't really work out because of the distance, but we tried a little bit at first, and then he's like, you know what, like, I can't date somebody that's so far away. And I said, okay, I get that. But then I find out that he's dating this girl from here, and I was like, okay, so you can't date somebody that's from here, but you're gonna date somebody that's from here. Like, that doesn't make any sort of sense at all. He never told me about this girl that he was dating. I literally found out because she was freaking out at me, saying, you're texting my boyfriend, why are you trying to link up with my boyfriend and all this shit? And I was like, whoa, who the fuck are you? And, like, I didn't even know you existed. So I don't know what he told her, or if he told her anything at all. And then I was just kind of in the dark. So he left me completely in the dark about this girl. And I started getting cussed out by this random ass chick. And she forever hates me, thinking that I stole her man, even though, like, she didn't exist, like, 3 weeks before this. And so then he meets this other girl, this girl from Ottawa. And when he met her, I was like, okay, I get it. Like, she's in Ottawa. You're in Ottawa. It only makes sense to, like, date somebody from around there. But then he would call me literally, if not every day, every other day after school, complaining about this girl, saying how she's dating him and then breaks up with him, and a week later dates his best friend, and then keeps flip-flopping between the two of them, and, like, telling one thing, telling on the other thing, and, like, it's just, she kept going back and forth between two best friends. She fucked this entire friendship up between these guys because she just wanted to, like, sleep with both of them or, like, have fun or whatever. And he would call me crying and being like, I can't do this. Like, she's fucking me over. And it broke my heart because I would sit there and I'm just like, okay, I want you so bad. And you don't want me. And you're going to go for a girl that keeps screwing you over constantly. And here I am just sitting here waiting for you to realize that I've been here for you the whole time. I forgot an important detail. So in grade 10, when we dated, it was while he was still around, obviously, but I made out with this guy, and this was also in the poly video. I made out with this guy, and that's, like, later on that comes up again, but I just felt like I should, like, slip that in there. So anyways, so I was waiting for him to, like, realize that I've been here the whole time, and he fell on his skateboard or something like that. Like, he really wiped out, and he fucked his tailbone up, and he was supposed to go get surgery for it. He was really, really nervous, too, because they said that it's a really risky surgery that they had to do, and if they mess it up even, like, the littlest bit, he could be paralyzed from the waist down. And that scared the living hell out of him, which I understand. And I told him, I was like, if you go with the surgery, because it had to be done in Kitchener, because, like, his doctors are all in Kitchener, I said, if you have to go through the surgery, like, I will come and stay at the hospital with you because I don't want you to be alone. I don't want you to be alone and scared in this situation, and I would rather come down and actually, like, make sure you're okay and stay with you the whole time and whatever. And he was so grateful for that and so appreciative of that because none of his friends really offered to do that. Yet he still kept going back to this girl who kept fucking him over, and then I'm just sitting here listening to it all and trying to, like, not get angry about this girl and just kind of seem like, whatever, like, you don't want to be with me, fine, like, you know, it really broke my heart, honestly. It really, really broke my heart sitting there. And I remember this like it was yesterday, sitting in my front hallway by my front door with my back up against the wall, my feet up on the other wall, on the phone with him for like an hour and a half every single day about this girl. And it sucked. It honestly sucked. So let's fast forward a little bit into high school. So my mom and I moved out of that house and into a different house. And he still had all his friends and family in KW. And he would come back to visit them and stay at his grandparents' house and all that stuff. And he would tell me, like, oh, I want to come see you. I miss you. I need to hang out with you and stuff. I was like, okay, cool. He would come over, literally watch a movie. And I was under the impression that he was coming over to chill with me for, like, the whole night. Like, pretty much, like, 4 hours, 5 hours. Like, come chill. We can watch a movie. We can hang out. Like, whatever. And he would literally come for a movie. And then when the movie's kind of done, he's like, oh, I gotta go. My brother's gonna pick me up. I was like, okay, so I haven't seen you in, like, 3 or 4 months. And you talk about how you love me and you miss me and I'm your first love, yet you've been here an hour and a half and you just can't wait to get out. Like, this doesn't, it just doesn't make any sense. And it drove me nuts because he's like, I want to see you. And then every time I would say, like, I'm not a priority in your life. I've never been a priority in your life. Like, since we dated when we were 15, now we're like 17, 18, I'm still not a priority in your life. Other things are priorities. Hanging out with your friends is a priority. Seeing your brother who you talk to all the fucking time is a priority. Going drinking is a priority. And let me just tell you, when he lived in Kitchener, no, I lied. When he came back to Kitchener to hang out with his friend, and I guess this random ass chick that didn't know me, he would talk shit about me. And I remember sitting there watching TV and my phone rang, my house phone, because, like, back in the day, you know, my house phone rang and he was, like, bitching me out, and then he hands the phone off to some random ass chick and she starts bitching me out, and I didn't really know what was going on, and she's like, fuck you, you're stupid slut, blah, 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 and all this shit. And I'm like, I don't even know who the fuck you are. And man, oh man, when I would bring these things up to him, like, all the times that he would talk shit about me and then claim that he loves me, like, he would just throw the, you cheated on me with this guy, like, in my face every single time, as if it's, like, an excuse for him to act, like, really shitty towards me. Well, you cheated on me, so I'm allowed to do this. I'm allowed to talk shit behind your back. I'm allowed to belittle your reputation. I'm allowed to only come and chill with you for an hour and a half because I don't really give a fuck. Like, that's not an excuse. And it was just, like, it was stupid. It was honestly stupid. And he would come over for an hour and a half and then leave. And that was it. And then I would get mad and I'd tell him, like, I'm not a priority and all this stuff. And I always said the same things. I'm not a priority in your life. You actually don't love me because you don't treat people that you love like shit. I'm just gonna, like, say that loud for anybody who can't hear it enough. If they love you, they will not treat you like shit. And that was the proof. And I always said that. And I just said, I want more of your attention. Like, I want you to actually want to hang out with me. And I don't think he actually did. I think he liked the idea of me. He liked the idea of having me on the side whenever he, like, felt lonely or he wanted to cuddle or whatever. And that's what I think he loved. So in college was kind of like, we talked once in a while, but, like, we were constantly, like, on and off. Like, constantly on and off. It was like, he would say something, and then I would say, fuck you, I'm not a priority. And I said, don't fucking talk to me again. Sure enough, like, it would be, like, 4 months, 5 months down the road, and he would slide back into my DMs and say, like, hey, I miss you, I love you, you're my first love, I shouldn't have fucked you over, I'm really sorry for that, now I've learned my lesson, now that I don't have you, I've actually seen what I've done. And, like, all that manipulative bullshit that gets into your fucking head that you're like, wow, okay, he's really sincere this time. And, like, let me just tell you, he's not. He's not. Like, if he says, I'm gonna change, he's not gonna change. Like, actions speak louder than words, and the fact that his actions were fucking repetitive means that nothing changed. This guy will probably never change, and this is just who he is. And like my mom always says, at least you're not married to them. Because anytime you meet somebody shitty, just remember that. At least you're not married to them. And it just, oh man. So, Toronto. When I lived in Toronto, I didn't have him at my first place. I had him when I lived with my roommate. So he was in contact with me again for that. And I remember we tried dating when I lived in Toronto and he was in Ottawa still, because he got accepted to go to the military, and I was like, okay, like, I want to, like, see where this goes. And so we tried dating. It lasted maybe, like, 2 weeks. And then it was like, I was like, I can't do this. I can't date somebody, first of all, that's 6 hours away. Second of all, that's going to be even further away because they're going to the military. Wow, I can't count. Third of all, somebody who is going to be putting themselves, like, at risk like that. Like, me, as a with mental instability sometimes, like, I can't handle that. I can't be with somebody who's going to get shot at every day. And it would break my heart. And I don't think I could be strong enough to get that knock at the door that something happened and you're not coming home. So I told him that. I was like, I can't handle it. And so that was fine. And then, so anyways, he comes down sometimes, maybe twice that year. And he didn't come down specifically to see me. This is where it all, like, makes sense. He never came down to see me. He came down because he's like, oh, I have a paintball tournament wherever, somewhere near Pickering. Let's say Pickering, because I think that was one of them. I have a paintball tournament Saturday. I want to come see you. Okay. All right, so you want to come see me. He would literally, I asked him when he would come, and his friend didn't get off work until 5 on Friday, till 5. So at 5, when he gets off work, then they would start driving. So he showed up at my house at like 11:30 at night. I'm like dead at that point. I'm like half asleep, and I go to bed, like, at that time I would go to bed at like 10. And I stayed up and I waited for him to come. He would show up at like 11:30. Then TD Bank is calling me. He would show up at 11, 11:30. Then he would leave at like 6:30 in the morning because he had to drive now to Pickering for his paintball tournament all day. And it's not like he came back and chilled with me the rest of the weekend. No. No. He literally was at my house from 11 at night to 6 in the morning and then gone. And that was it. He slept in my bed and that was it. 7 hours. He slept in my bed for 7 fucking hours and then left. And that was it. And this is him telling me, I love you. I miss you. You're my first love. Okay? Actions speak louder than words. This is where it comes in. So that pissed me off because you can't say that you want to hang out with me and that you miss me and spend time with me and all this bullshit when you won't even make time to do that. Like, you would not even give me an extra fucking day to hang out with you. You literally thought of me as a convenience. Somebody that lives in that general area that I can crash at their house, not have to pay for a hotel, and then go to my paintball tournament the next day. That's what it was. And let me tell you, that was like the shittiest feeling ever when he would come and do that. And he did that a couple times that year. And it just, I remember breaking down in tears, like crying one night, hyperventilating, panic attack, because I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is ridiculous. And then he's like, I'm sorry, like, I'll try, like, I'll make sure I come see you more and all this shit. Never happened. I went to Ottawa about 3 times to see him. Well, not to see him. Like, two of the 3 times was to see him. First time I went to Ottawa was when I was in grade 11. And I was dating this other guy, again, from my other video. So I was dating this other guy. And I went to Ottawa and I was like, hey, he lives here. So then I'm talking to him and whatever. And he's like, yeah, meet me at the mall. So I get my aunt or my cousin or somebody to drop me off at the mall there. And we walked around the mall and he's acting all cute and shit. And he's like putting his arms around me, holding my waist, like slapping my butt, like casually, not like sexual harassment, but like slapping my butt and stuff. And we sat down and we had like drinks, like coffee or whatever. And he sat across the table from me, held my hands like this, and looked deep into my eyes and told me that he loved me and all this crap that I wanted to hear. And obviously, I'm an idiot. I fell for it, and I made out with him that day. And obviously, I told, like, the guy that I was dating at the time, like, I felt so shitty about that. I told him that night. I was like, look, I fucked up. Like, this is what happened. I have to tell you the truth. Like, I can't hide this from you. And, yeah, and then I find out that he cheated on me, or no, cheated on that girl that he cried about a lot and complained about, cheated on her with me. And I only just learned this, like, 5 years later after all of this, that he cheated on her with me and that I cheated on my boyfriend with him. So, like, this just goes to show that, like, if he's willing to cheat on her with me, then, like, he's willing to fuck anybody over. And it's different. I know what you're thinking, because, like, you cheated on your boyfriend too. But, like, it's like, yes, I fucked up. But I also felt guilty for it. And I owned up to my actions every single time that I fucked up. And he didn't. And that's the difference, is that he would lie and continue lying about stuff. And, yeah. So, I went to Ottawa, made out with him, yada, yada, yada. Then, when I was living in Toronto, I would take a bus. I did this twice. Twice? 3 times? I think it was twice. No. I don't remember. I think I went 3 times. I feel like I went 3 times. I think I went 3 times. So, let's just say I went 3 times. And the first time I went, we hung out all weekend or whatever. I stayed at his mom's house with him. And he had the basement as, like, his little, like, room bachelor pad thing. And we chilled. And we watched movies. And we just kind of, like, cuddled and all that cute shit. And that was fine. And then I went home. And, let's just add in there that it's about a 5-hour bus ride to and from Toronto to Ottawa. So that's a long ass bus ride for a guy. And yeah, so I did that. And then the second time I did it, I went down there and I said to him, like, I want to actually do stuff because I don't want to just sit in your mom's house and do absolutely nothing for the whole fucking weekend. Like, this is a waste of my time and money and I don't want to do it. And he was like, yeah. Reassured me that we would do all this stuff. Like, as soon as I got off the bus and he picked me up, we'll do all this stuff. Don't worry. We'll do anything you want to do. That didn't happen because then he had to move that weekend. So he lived with 3 other guys, I think it was. I got there on Friday. He wanted to throw a party in the house on Friday night. And I was like, okay. And I was drinking, but I wasn't drunk because I don't like being drunk around people I don't know and in places that I don't feel safe or comfortable with. So I wasn't getting drunk, but I was drinking. And I was talking to a bunch of girls that were there. And this was like during my rave scene, you know, the cool like rave scene that everybody goes through. And yeah, one of the girls was like, oh my God, you're such a good dancer. How do you do that? Like shuffling, because like apparently that's talented. And she was like, how do you do that? And then I was like dancing with these girls. And then the one girl said like, oh, you're so skinny. How are you so skinny? And then this guy that apparently loves me and is like all like obsessed with me and shit literally says in front of my face,
oh, it's because of the drugs.
Oh God. My mood automatically like down. Like I was like, it's not because of the drugs. Like, are you fucked? Like, huh. So they were moving that weekend. Friday night happened, whatever. Saturday morning rolls around. The house is disgusting. We're supposed to be moving out in the next 2 days. Or like they're supposed to be moving out in the next like 2 days. And the house was disgusting. And I woke up early and I was like, okay, I'll start cleaning up the beer cans, like emptying them all out, putting them all in the recycling, picking up all the red Solo cups, and like just kind of like do a general tidy of like the main floor. And I started doing that, and then his roommates came down and didn't really say anything to me, didn't say thank you or anything. I then started doing the dishes that were left on the counter for probably about 2 months because I kid you not, the smells that came out of those dishes and the stuff that was growing, it was disgusting. Like, these guys literally just probably pile their dishes when they ran out. They just eat fast food because, like, these have been there for at least 2 months. And I started just tackling these dishes because they had to get done. Someone comes down, one of his roommates comes down, and he's like, oh, you don't have to do those. So you're just going to throw them in a garbage bag and take them to the next place, wash them there. I'm like, that's fucking gross. And you guys need to learn how to do your dishes. So I already did half of them. I might as well finish the other half. So then I just kept doing the dishes. And the one roommate did say thank you for helping out and whatever. Well, my ex or whatever you want to call him, he doesn't even get a name. He doesn't deserve a name. He comes down and he's like, oh, I'm going to go play paintball with so-and-so. It's from like 12 to 3. I'll be back around like 3:30. I'm like, okay. So, yeah, he took off. And then I helped finish cleaning the house. And me and his one roommate walked down to the plaza that was close to get pizza because they didn't have anything to eat. So we were talking and I was like explaining like a little bit about our history, and he was talking about one of his similar relationships and all this stuff. And we hit it off. And then get back to the house, and it's about 3 o'clock. Not home. He's not home. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep cleaning. And I wasn't going to touch anything in his room because I didn't know how he wanted to pack anything. So I wasn't going to like start packing shit for him. But I was like, you know what? This bathroom is disgusting because these guys have lived here for 6 months and nobody's touched this damn bathroom. And it's 4 guys. So I'm going to clean this bathroom because every time that I've moved out of a place, I like to clean the entire place and leave it spotless for when the landlord has to come in. They don't have to like clean the whole thing. So it took me about 2 or 3 hours to do that bathroom. Anyways, he shows up at like 8:30 at night. And I was just finishing up cleaning the bathroom at this point. And I literally scrubbed with bleach. Like, it was burning my eyes so much. These guys didn't even say thank you. Like, one did. The one that took me to pizza. Yeah, he comes home at like 8:30 with McDonald's for himself. Yep. So apparently 3:30 turned into 8:30, and he didn't even have the audacity to bring anything for anybody else, but he shows up with a full bag of McDonald's for himself and sat there and ate the McDonald's by himself. So, I mean, that right there just kind of shows what kind of person he is. Inconsiderate, immature, irresponsible, a liar. The list goes on. So I was pissed, and obviously I made it known that I was pissed, and I had to bus home Monday. And I told him, I was like, I want to do something Sunday. Since you blew me off all of Saturday, I just want to do something Sunday. I want to go outside. I want to do something. I don't give a shit what we do. We can go and walk around the fucking neighborhood. I don't care. And he was like, okay, Sundays are usually like the lazy days anyways. Well, these lazy days included staying in the basement and playing video games. And not me playing video games. Like him playing video games, me just kind of sitting there awkwardly watching him play video games. And then they had to move Sunday night. So I helped them move. And everything was a clusterfuck considering their house wasn't fucking packed. And we're doing like a million trips back and forth through Ottawa. And the one thing that just kind of bothers me is like, I just got my G2 at this point, and I didn't like driving anybody else's car because if I fuck it up, it's not my car. And his mom had me drive her car because she started drinking. So I had to drive all these loads back and forth in somebody else's car on a highway in an area that I didn't know in the fucking dark. And he was sitting there, shotgun rider, and he would try to criticize my driving. This kid did not even have his G1 at this point. And he sat there and told me how I need to drive better, even though I was the only one that was sober and able to fucking drive. And none of his friends had their G2s. He didn't have his G2. Like, shut up. And like the whole weekend just kind of started getting to me. And he was starting to get really drunk that night. And you could tell that even his roommates were getting frustrated because he was getting lippy and he was telling everybody off. And at one point, one of them actually got right in his face and like tried to fight him. And just said, like, you're fucked. If you keep going, I'll fucking kick your ass. And, like, all this shit. Like, nobody was having it that night. And I got pissed. And I said something and walked away. And then he followed me to the car. And he asked me, like, what's going on? And I said, like, you blew me off for paintball. I'm not a priority in your life. Basically, everything that I've said before. And again, he apologized. I'm sorry. I love you. I'll make sure I change. I'll make sure I give you more time. Blah, blah, blah. And it just kept going on like that. Yeah, so then I went home to Toronto, and I found out this was April. This was the last time I saw him. And this wasn't past April. This was like 2 Aprils ago. Okay, so he said he was going to the Army in May. So then I went to go see him like mid to late April, and this was the last time I saw him or talked to him or anything. And he told me he was going to the Army. At this point, I went through a lot of counseling when I was in college over this guy. And my counselor, this is like kind of personal, but my counselor did a lot of self-reflecting, and he had me explain the whole relationship up to this point, like to the college point. And he said, why are you trying to get his approval? And I said, I don't know. Maybe it's just because like I fucked up and I hurt him when I was 15, and he keeps throwing that back in my face every time we get in an argument that I fucked him over and all this stuff. And he was like, well, I don't think you need to prove anything to him because everything that you've done for him up to this point, being there for him, telling him that you're going to be there for surgery and all of this stuff, being his friend still, that just goes to show that you've already like made it up to him. You don't need to prove anything to him. And he's like, I don't think it's that you're trying to get his approval. I think it's that you don't sit well with what you did and you don't forgive yourself. It's not that you're looking for forgiveness from him because you've already done everything that you can to try to make it up to him and all this stuff. And now it just comes down to you don't forgive yourself for what you did. And that really hit me because I was like, you know what? Like, I have bent over backwards for this guy. I have been there for him every single time. And you know what? Yes, we get in stupid fights. Yes, we block each other from Facebook for 4 months. But I was always there for him. And if he ever needed anything, I would have been there for him no matter what. At this point, after that second Ottawa trip, with him being drunk, screaming at me, we got in a fight. That's the other thing. We got in a fight at the new house. And I told him I'm not talking to him. He said something really rude, and he slept in the bed by himself, and I slept on the couch. And that was the last night that I stayed there, and then I went home. I took the bus home. And when he told me in April or March or whatever it was, he told me that he was going to the army. Oh, this is when we, like, tried to date. When he told me he was going to the army in May, I said, okay, I want to come and see you before you go to the army. Because for me, it's like, no matter what happened with us, I still cared about him. If anything were to happen to him in the army, I would still care about him. I would still miss him. I would still want to know, like, what's going on. If you get hurt, I would feel like shit. If you got killed, I would feel like shit. So, like, I wanted to still be there for him because I knew he didn't have a whole lot of, like, real friends. And I don't know. To me, it was like I'd rather have him in my life in some way than not at all. And I was like, you know what? I want to come and see you before you go to the army then. And at this point, I had already fallen out of love with him because I started seeing everything that everybody always told me, that, like, he's a shitty, shallow person and he doesn't care about you and, like, all of this stuff. I started seeing that, and I started replaying all of these points that I've told you in my head. And I was like, that is so true. This is manipulative. This is controlling. This is abuse. Like, you can't treat someone like this. And it's just, I don't know. I wanted to be there for him. I'm just a good person, I guess. I don't know. And I said, I want to come and see you. I want to come see you before you go. So then I went out in April. And I don't know what holiday is in April, but it was the long weekend. And I bus down on Thursday. So I get down Thursday night or Thursday afternoon or whatever. And again, he picks me up in the car. And I said, I want to do stuff this weekend because you blew me off last weekend. I want to do it this time. He said, okay, that's fine. Like, we can go do whatever you want. Like, I want to actually do stuff this time. I want to take you to see Ottawa. I want to do stuff with you. And I said, cool. All right. Next morning, Friday morning. And I was like, so what do you want to do today? And he's like, I don't know. It's a holiday and things are closed. I was like, okay, so there has to be something open. And he's like, well, so-and-so's birthday is this weekend, and they all want to go out for breakfast for his birthday. Like, can we go? And I said, okay, fine. So there was 3 couples. So us, the guy that had his birthday and his girlfriend, and then the other guy that he would always bring down when he came to Toronto to see me, and his whatever she was. So we all went out for breakfast. It was fine. Like, we were all shooting the shit and whatever, and there's still pictures on Facebook from that day, and it was fine. And then, so when we were at home before we went to breakfast, I was on my phone looking up things to do in Ottawa that would be open on this holiday. And I found, like, tractor. Sorry, I had to burp. I found, like, tractor and, like, farm things. And I was like, fuck yes. Like, let's do it. Let's go to these, like, farm museums. Like, I'm so down. And he's like, that's so stupid. I'm not going to a farm museum. I was like, fine. Then let's go to the actual museum. And then he was like, I'm not going to a museum. That's stupid. I'm like, well, what the fuck else do you want to do? Like, there's nothing open. At breakfast, this is what pissed me off. At breakfast, he said to everybody, he's like, she wants to go to a museum. And they're like, oh, okay. And he's like, do you guys want to come with us? Oh man. So he invited everybody to our day at the museum. And we went back to the house, and I don't know, wait, what order did this go in? No, I lied. Okay, so we went to breakfast to the museum. So we drove in a car with his friend, the Toronto guy. And if I'm, like, getting this correct, it might be mixed up in order. But we went back to his house to get ready or whatever. Yes. We went back to his house to get ready, and I put on a baseball cap. I think it was like Bass Pro or something. And I put on a baseball cap. No, it was Farm Boy. I put on whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyways, I put on like some sort of like trucker hat. And I was like, I'm gonna wear this. And he was like, you're not gonna wear that. And I was like, yeah, I am. And he was like, no, you're not. And I was like, why am I not wearing this hat? And he's like, because it looks stupid, take it off. So me, like, not, I can't stand when people tell me to, like, do something or not do something. It just makes me want to, like, do the opposite. So I ran upstairs. I put my whole face on. I ran back downstairs. I said, I'm wearing this hat. And he said, oh, yeah? And I said, yeah, because I look cute as fuck. And I literally just said that and walked away. And he got so pissed because no, you're not controlling me. Who the fuck are you? It was weird. I had this, like, gut feeling that something was off. And it was like that Saturday that something was off. And I was like, I don't know if I can handle this. And before we went to the museum, I had packed my bag up again. Like, put all of my stuff in my bag in case anything happened. And I don't know, like, it just kind of, I do that naturally, I guess. Like, in case something happens, I need to bail. And I packed all my stuff up. And so we're going to get in the car, and he's taking a while or whatever. And me and his friend get in the car. I'm sitting shotgun. He's driving, like his friend is driving. He comes out. He's like, get in the back. I was like, I'm not getting in the back. You could sit in the back. I always sit in the back. He was like, get in the back. I'm not sitting in the back. That's stupid. That's gay. I'm not sitting in the back. I'm like, well, I'm not sitting in the back. I always sit in the back. You can sit in the back. And we got this, like, stupid argument. And he literally went back to the house, bitched at his mom, because I saw him flailing his arms, pointing to the car, pointing to me, bitching to his mom, flailing his arms. He literally threw a fucking hissy fit. We are like 21, 22 years old, and you're throwing a hissy fit because you have to sit in the fucking back. Are you kidding me? And he threw a hissy fit to his mom. Comes storming out and is like, get in the back. I was like, you're a fucking bitch, man. Like, honestly, I crawled in the back. I'm like, I'm sitting in the back, but I'm listening to at least one of my fucking songs. Because this kid is the whitest kid I know. And he sits there with his arm up on the fucking window. And he's like this, like listening to like the most gangster beats ever. And I was like, I'm not going to pretend I'm black. Like, no. So I was like, fine. I'm listening to like one of my country songs or whatever. And he was like, fine, you can listen to one song. And I put one song on, we go to get gas, and like it just kind of kept playing country songs and nobody really realized. And then he realized after like 4 songs. But anyways, so he threw a fucking temper tantrum. Because he's and we get to the museum. We get there and whatever, and everybody else was there. And at this point, I didn't have an iPhone. I still had my like little Crackberry. So I had my BlackBerry and my iPod. And I could post Snapchats through my iPod, but not through my BlackBerry. So I had my iPod out in one hand and my phone in the other, and I was like taking pictures, but also like texting people, but like taking pictures on both phones as well. And he would say like obnoxious shit like, put your phone away. I was like, no. He's like, put your fucking phone away. That's so rude. Put your shit away. You don't need your phones out. Put your phone away. And he would try to grab my phone. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, fuck off. I'm not doing what you say. Like, what, you think I'm gonna, like, listen to you? And he kept, like, being an asshole about it and, like, try to grab my phone. And he's like, put your fucking phone away. And starts, like, getting bitchy and, like, mumbling shit under his breath. Oh, man. It just drove me nuts. And me and the other girl, the girlfriend, I'm just gonna call her the girlfriend of the birthday guy, just so you know. Me and the girlfriend, like, ran away. And we did our own thing. And we were hiding in, like, the kids' tunnel or whatever, and we were, like, talking, and I was like, I can't fucking do this. Like, this is stupid. We meet back up with them, and then they're like, well, what do you want to do tonight? Because it's so-and-so's birthday. Like, what do you want to do? And he's like, oh, let's go to a strip club. This is my ex talking. Let's go to a strip club. I'm like, okay. We're all like, that's fine. So then we go home, and his friend, the Toronto paintballer guy, he witnessed, like, the brutality, like, the verbal abuse and, like, the slashing that he did to me, like, at the house, like, the things that he would say and, like, just rude shit. I just want to add that I feel like he was talking shit about me too, this friend, saying that he doesn't actually give a shit about me and stuff, because what his friend says next doesn't really make any sense if this was the first time he's ever witnessed this stuff. And his friend witnessed it, and like, this is an example of somebody who is so fucked up that they have to, like, act a certain way in front of their friends, but completely treat you like trash when you're alone, you know? Like, when we were alone, he didn't care about me. When we were together with other people, then all of a sudden he's all lovey-dovey and shit. And I'm like, well, that's ironic, because where the fuck was this for the last 8 years? Like, apparently we just needed to hang out with a bunch of people for you to actually give a fuck about me. It just started irritating me because we couldn't do anything together. Like, we never did anything alone since high school, since he would come to my house for like an hour and a half, or I would just happen to sleep over at his grandparents one night, and it was just us chilling. And even then, it was like, hey, come to so-and-so's house so we can chill. And then, like, when he's in town, I would go to his friend's house, and we would sit there and chill and drink. But it's like, he never wanted to chill with me. And this is how I think I was just convenient for him. And his friend started seeing this. And when we were going... Ooh, just spilt my water. My bad. When we were getting ready to go to the strip club or whatever, his friend and I guess her mom, I had the same birthday or something, so they rented a hotel room. And we were all partying with, like, his mom and all them and, like, her brother and their friend. Like, it was a bunch of people. And at this point, I was like, you know what, I'm not putting up with this shit anymore. This is, like, going south. And again, I had this gut feeling. My bag was packed. So I have family that lives in Ottawa. I was sitting on the couch, very quiet. I was smiling occasionally. When people would talk to me, I'd smile and, like, say something. I wasn't bitchy. I was just quiet. And I was texting with my aunt. Oh, my hand's fucking... Oh, God. Sorry. I was texting with my aunt and my cousins the whole time. I was there to try to figure out, like, okay, I'm supposed to be here until, like, Monday, and I don't want to be around him that long. So I was planning on bailing because, again, I forgot to add this in. So Friday was the museum. So Friday we went to the museum and we went out to the strip club and all that. Saturday, he was going to bail on me again to go paintballing. Again. And he said, I'll be back around 4:30. Don't worry. And I said, no, you won't. Because you didn't come back until 8:30 last time and you came home with McDonald's for yourself. And I was like, no, like, this is stupid. Like, you can go paintballing any other fucking weekend that I am not here. I didn't sit on a bus for 5 hours to come and sit in your house by myself. That's stupid. And I was getting so pissed. And then he would turn around and be like, oh, I'm not going to go paintballing because, like, you know, you're my priority and, like, you came to visit me and all this shit. And then at breakfast, oh, so, yeah, you want to go paintballing tomorrow? Yeah, I'm down. So my plan was, if he's going to ditch me to go paintballing Saturday, then I'm going to fucking bail. Like, I am not putting up with this shit. I am not sitting in your house waiting for you to come back to figure out if you want to chill with me or not. And I was sitting there on the phone with my, like, aunt and my cousins and shit, and I'm like, I don't want to be here. I'm in Ottawa. I don't know what to do. Can I come stay at your house until Monday, until I have to take my bus home? And they said, yeah, that's fine. Like, ironic enough, like, my aunt wasn't even there. Like, she was at my house. So, like, I don't know. But they said, yeah, you can go in the back door. Like, just crash there till Monday. We'll get one of the boys to drive you to the bus terminal or whatever. So I was planning this, and I was occasionally getting up to get drinks. And every time I would go to the kitchen, he would be there and he'd be like, oh, let me get that for you. And he'd grab my drink. Trying to be nice and, like, put on an image for everybody else, you know? Because, like, he has to look like he gives a shit. So he'd be like, let me grab that for you. He'd take my drink and I'm like, no. It's cool. I got this. I can fill my own cup, thank you. And I would grab my whiskey out of the fridge, grab my Coke, make my own drink. And he would get all offended that he couldn't help me. And he was like, fine, fuck you. I'm done. That's it. You're a bitch. You're a stupid slut. Fuck you. I'm done. And I'm like, you're not done. And I would say it like that. I was like, you're not fucking done. Quit saying you're done. And I would just walk away, go sit on the couch again. Then the next time, and this happened a couple of times where, like, I had to go fill my cup. Oh, let me get that. Why don't you let me get that? Why won't you let me fill your drink? I'm like, honestly, I'm fine. Like, I don't need you to fill my cup. I don't want your help. I'm fine. And again, fuck you. You're a bitch. I'm done. I don't want to talk to you anymore. You're a fucking bitch. Like, oh my God. It was like a broken record. And eventually we all had to get up and leave at some point. So we, don't worry, this video is like 49 minutes recording, but I will trim it down as much as possible to maybe 48. But we all had to get up at some point. And so we get up, and he pulls me aside, like, down this little hallway thing in this, like, hotel apartment thing. And he's like, I know why you're mad. And I was like, oh yeah? Why am I mad? And he's like, because you don't want me to go paintballing tomorrow. And I don't even know what other fucking reasons he gave. He gave, like, the most bullshit reasons. Like, honestly, like, I think I just didn't listen because I was, like, ready to, like, fucking attack. And, he was, like, basically, like, you don't want me to go paintballing and yada, yada, yada. And he's like, honestly, like, you are my priority. I care about you. I love you. La, la, la. La, la, la. And I literally just laughed. I laughed for a second, and then I was like, I'm not your priority. I've never been your priority. Your priority is Army, which fucking came out of nowhere. I've never heard him. I've known him since I was 15. I've never, ever heard him say that he wants to be part of the Army. So this is not like, oh, I wanted to be part of the Army as a child. Like, no. Like, this is new. So I was like, Army is your priority. Paintball is your priority. Chilling with your friends is your priority. I do not make this list of priorities at all. I was like, you don't give a shit about me. You don't want to chill with me alone. This has always been the same thing. I've always fucking argued since we were 15, and nothing has ever changed. You don't care. And he got so pissed, and he's, again, fuck you. You're a fucking bitch. I'm done. Don't talk to me. I don't even fucking care. And then I was like, that's fine. Because honestly, when you bail on me tomorrow to go paintballing, I was going to be fucking gone by the time you got back. And I wish I didn't say that. But at the same time, it helped. Not really. It just kind of, like, added gasoline to the fire. But then he's like, oh, you want to leave, blah, blah. And I got all pissed off and, like, again, called me a bitch and all this stuff. And then he's like, fuck you. You want to leave? Just leave. And I was like, fine. Like, I already planned it. I already have my ride set up. And so he storms out. He goes down to the car. And I realized that I still had my, like, whiskey or whatever. So I say to his friend, like, can I just put this in the trunk for now until we go to the club? And then he's like, yeah. And then I said to him, I was like, I can't handle this anymore. Can you sit down, please, if you're going to be in my way? Ugh. So I was like, I can't handle this anymore. Like, I don't know how this night is going to go. Like, I'm already going to bail tomorrow. And his best friend, this Toronto paintball buddy, said himself, I can't believe you lasted this long. Like, that right there shows that, like, his friend even agrees that he's a shitty person and that he's been literally shitting hot, steamy shits on my face for the last 15 years and, like, smearing it with his fucking hand because he does not care. His friend even said that. His friend said, I can't believe you've lasted this long. Oh my God. I just kind of, like, processed that as we're walking into the strip club, and I was chilling with the girlfriend. The other random chick that this other guy had was, like, gone at this point. Like, I don't even think she didn't come to the party. I don't even think she came to the museum. I don't know. I was chilling with the girlfriend, and he's being drunk, and the birthday boy, her boyfriend, goes and gets lap dances. He's gone for about 20 minutes. She said, like, I can't do this. He's been gone for 20 minutes. I said, honestly, like, I know strippers. When he runs out of money, none of these strippers will give him the time of day. It was just really obnoxious because when they went out for a smoke, like the couple, they went out for a smoke, and my ex was across the table from me, calls a girl over, like a stripper girl or whatever. Sorry. He calls a stripper girl over, and he's like, yo, my friend that you gave the dance to, he likes you. And she's like, oh, I don't know, like, his girlfriend doesn't really seem too happy that I'm, like, dancing on him and stuff. And he's like, no, like, forget about her, don't worry about her, like, who fucking cares about her, like, he likes you, trust me, he likes you. I literally sat there thinking about the last 8 years of my life, and I was like, I wonder if he's had the same mentality the whole time that he's ever been involved with me, where it's like, oh, fuck my girlfriend, whatever. Oh, fuck Hill, who cares? Because, like, what? That pissed me off. And I obviously told her. We went to the bathroom. I said, I can't fucking do this. This is uncomfortable. I don't want to sit across from him. He's obnoxious. Like, I can't do it. By the way, he said this. So she automatically was like, he's a piece of shit. Like, yada, yada, yada. And I said, I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm, like, going to stay at my cousin's. Like, I can't do this and stuff. So at this point, I think I actually told her that I was going to leave that night. And she wanted me to go to another bar with her. But I told her that I didn't feel comfortable leaving my stuff at his house. Especially if he went home before me and went into my stuff or whatever. So I just kind of wanted to get all my stuff out of his house, and that was kind of like the plan. And then we go back, and then he was out for a smoke with his friend, I guess, or something. The three of them were out, and it was me and the paintball guy. So I said to paintball guy, I was like, hey, do you think you can drive me to my aunt's house tonight? I don't want to be here. I don't want to go back to his house with him. He's getting too drunk and obnoxious and rude. And, like, I just don't have a good gut feeling right now. And I don't want to go back to the house with him. I said to his friend, like, I don't trust him to go back to his house. I don't trust being around him when he's drunk. He's already getting rude. He's already, like, told me off all night. Called me different names and stuff. And I don't trust my stuff at his house to go pick it up tomorrow. Because he is literally the type of person that would take all of my stuff, throw it outside, like, smash all my stuff. And I had my iPad. I had, like, all of this stuff in there. And I was like, I don't trust it. I don't want to go back with him. I have this really, really bad gut feeling that if I went back, things would have gotten probably physical. It got to the point where it was starting to be physical because when we were in the little kitchen of the birthday apartment or whatever, I was barely saying 2 words to him when I was in the kitchen. Like, he was trying to make my drink and stuff. And then he grabbed my face / neck. So he grabbed me, like, here. And he, like, turned, like, he, like, grabbed me like this. And, like, faced me to him. But, like, kind of, like, on my throat. And he was like, why won't you fucking look at me? And I said, don't fucking touch me like that ever again. If you touch me like that, like, I'll fucking, like, I'll snap. Like, you don't lay a hand on me. The fact that he, like, kind of grabbed my face / throat, like, kind of put me in a shock moment. And that's when I decided, like, I'm going home tonight. I'm not, well, not home, but, like, I'm going to my aunt's tonight. I'm not going back with him because at that moment, I was like, this is going to end up in a fucking fist fight. So I told his friend, I was like, I don't feel comfortable going back. I know this is going to end badly. And he said, okay, I can drive you to get your stuff tonight. And we can get your stuff and I'll take you to your aunt's house. I said, okay, cool. I said, I'll pitch for gas. I'll pay for your time for doing all of this, whatever. So they come back in. He says, yo, man, I'm going to drive her to get her stuff. I'm going to take her to your aunt's house. He got mad. He got mad because I was leaving early. He got mad because his friend was helping me out because he was a piece of shit. And he stands up and acts all tough in his friend's face. His friend is literally, like, a fucking giant compared to him. Like, he towered over my ex. And he was like, fuck you, man. Like, I'll fucking break your nose if you help her. Like, if you go and leave right now and help her, like, I'm fucking done. We're not friends anymore. Fuck you. Like, you're supposed to be my friend. You're not supposed to be her friend. And he's like, yo, man, like, she is not wanting to stay here. She wants to go. I'm helping her out. I'm sorry. Like, I'm helping her. And he got all, like, bitchy about that. And then he tried to throw stuff that I've told him, personal stuff that I've told him, back in my face. And that was when I was like, okay, that's my cue to fucking book it. Because if I stuck around any longer, like, he reached across the table and got right in my face and practically spit in my face because he was that close yelling at me. And I was like, I'm fucking out of here. And I ran out of that strip club so fast with his friend. And we went back to his house and I tried to get into his house. Like, his mom had to work the next morning, so she locked the doors, I guess. And I was like, I don't know how to get into the house to get my stuff. So then he was like, okay, well, like, let's try to get in, like, one of the windows. So because he slept in the basement. So we opened the basement windows. And I was like, that's like a fucking 7-foot drop. I am not jumping down there. And he's like, okay, let's check the living room. So we check the living room. We slide the windows open. We crawl in really, really quietly. Thankfully, all my stuff was packed. So it was just a matter of carrying it up, walking out the front door. I got in the car. I literally, like, I didn't even cry until I got to my aunt's house. Like, hours later, I cried because I had so much adrenaline, and it was like the biggest weight was lifted off my shoulders because that weekend was like the closure that I needed, that this was never gonna work. And it was literally the biggest weight lifted off my shoulder, and I posted a Snapchat saying I'm fucking free. Like, I was so happy. And then his friend drops me off at my aunt's house. I never talked to him again. But I laid there, and I didn't sleep that night. And I just kind of laid there, and I thought about everything, and I thought about, like, how brave I was to put myself in certain situations like that, and how brave I was to finally leave that situation. Because if you had asked me when I was, like, 17, 18, like, when I was so involved with this guy and so head over heels for him, like, I would have stayed that night. I would have gone back to his house, and I would have been naive and fallen for everything that he would have said, and I would still be in this loop. And the fact that I got out of it, and I actually, like, cut him off. I blocked him off everything that I had in the car on the way to my aunt's, because I was like, I'm done. Like, I can't do this. It's so exhausting. And it's not going anywhere, and he's not listening to me. He's not trying to change anything. Like, every time I would say, like, what's wrong and what bothers me and what I need different, like, he would argue that he's doing it and that it's my fault for, like, making out with someone when I was 15. Like, it was stupid. It was manipulative. And it felt so free, man. Honestly, it's hard to leave, but once you start realizing that you're not in love with that person, and that, like, they're not going to change, and they're not the person that you hope that they're going to end up being. They're never going to be that person that you hope that they end up being. Like, it is so, so rewarding once you get that closure. And when I was at my aunt's house that night, I waited, like, a couple hours. I laid there and thought about everything. And then I finally, like, broke down in tears and cried for the whole rest of the night. And, like, it was on and off for, like, a week or two that I would cry over it, because it's like, as much as I wanted to reach out to him and explain what happened, it didn't matter. If I ever explained it, it wouldn't matter. And if I unblocked him and reached out to him, then that would just mean that he still had me trapped. That is my story about my abusive, manipulative, controlling ex-boyfriend, and the relationship that I was able to get out of, thankfully. And I know there's, like, people that are a little bit harder to get out of situations like that, but I just want you guys to know that, like, you can honestly get out of relationships like this. You just have to be willing to let go and, like, close the door to that chapter. And, like, you have to be able to be alone, because if you keep going back to what's comfortable isn't necessarily what's right. I wanted it to work with him so bad. So bad. I wanted him to be the guy that I needed him to be. And the fact of the matter is, it's been 8 years, and he will never be that person. And you know what? Now that chapter's closed, I can now move on with my life, and I can actually figure out, like, what I liked and disliked in that relationship, and I can use that for my next relationships going forward, and realize, like, what I need more and what I need less of in a relationship. And, like, it really is a learning curve. Everything you do in life is a learning curve. And all these shitty experiences with these abusive relationships and stuff, like, you just have to be strong enough, and you have to really pay attention to all the signs, and stop giving excuses for why people act this way, and stop dismissing all of these red flags, because these red flags are the things that you need to pay attention to the most. I hope that my story kind of, like, touches anybody. If not, like, I don't really know. Anyways, I'll see you guys later, and stay cool.